you're paralyzed during REM sleep. So if you're practicing, say if you're working on your boxing skills, well, when you rehearse that, you don't really want to act out those boxing skills, right? Your wife, your spouse wouldn't approve of that.
Especially with your wife next to you.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing. So your muscles get paralyzed, and you'll rehearse what you did, but all those muscles, like the nerves will activate that are going to those muscles is just as though you were actually doing it. It just doesn't reach a threshold to actually cause movement. And so what I learned was that sleep drugs like Ambien, Lunesta, they decrease REM sleep by about 80%, and they decrease deep sleep by about 20%. And then alcohol does the opposite. So if you're having a couple of cocktails to wash down your Ambien, and special forces guys, if one's good, two's better, three's probably great, so they're taking way more than they should, chasing that down with a couple of cocktails, and they're laying down in bed and they're going unconscious for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then they're waking up wide awake, and they just don't feel like they can go back to sleep. So they come up with a clever plan. They go, well, I'm just going to get up early now. It's 4 o'clock, whatever. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to go into the gym. I'm going to work out really hard. I'm going to go to work. I'm not going to take any naps. I'm not going to take any breaks. And when I come home tonight, I'll be really tired. And then the same thing happens that night. The same thing happens the next night. And so these guys have been, running this program for a long time. And, we select out, all military does, but, the SEALs, especially, we select out for people who can handle sleep deprivation well, right? Like we have a full week without any sleep. If I like Sunday, essentially you wake up Sunday morning, and then, sometimes Sunday evening you break out for Hell Week, and then you don't get secured until Friday afternoon. And so it wasn't a culture that really thought sleep was all that important. Sleep was something that you could just push past if you're mentally tough enough and you're strong enough and you're dedicated enough and you really wanted it. You wouldn't really have to sleep. You can just push past it and get a nap here and there, whatever, and you'll be fine. And that's what I thought too. I spent all of college and all of medical school and residency sleeping about 4 or 5 hours a night, because I was a go-getter. I was getting after it. I was going to, get up earlier, work harder. I got up, I got up at 3:30 in the morning when I went to medical school. So that was the only time I could work out. So I could go to the gym before going into school, and then, school all day, come home. I had a family, and so, anyway, after figuring out all of that, I said, well, let's see what happens when we get guys off of sleep drugs and alcohol. And lo and behold, we take guys whose, testosterone would be like in the lowest 20% of the normal range, and we take them to the highest 20% of the range. Same thing with free testosterone, same thing with growth hormone, knock down all their oxidation, knock down all their inflammation, improve their insulin sensitivity, and their performance goes up, and their mood improves, and their cognition improves, and their memory improves, and their motivation improves, and their body composition improves. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the only thing that was going on was that. Obviously, we have a lot of brain injuries, a lot of traumatic injuries, a lot of traumatic brain injuries, a lot of PTSD like symptoms and things like that as well. So, there were other things going on, but that was the biggest piece of the puzzle. And so I started working with guys to do that. The military was not a big fan of me doing that. They kept cracking the whip on me, telling me that I was practicing outside of my scope and doing things that I wasn't hired to do, and all of that. And I was like, whatever, like, I'm here for the guys. Like, I don't care what the leadership thinks, so pretty much sacrificed my career over that. But I was like, making commander is not nearly as important to me as helping out my brother. So I just kept doing it. And then, over a couple of years, I kind of convinced the naysayers and, started gaining some traction in that field. And, we would have guest lecturers come in and talk to the guys before and after deployment to talk to them about various things, and we'd bring in some kind of bigger name people that the teams followed their podcast or whatever. So we'd bring in like Rob Wolf or bring in Dave Grossman to talk about psychology of killing, or
cool.
John Wellborn to talk about strength and conditioning or whatever. Like we just brought in these guys, and then I'd shared the stage with these guys at these events because the military had me for free, so they're gonna obviously have me lecture every time. And then I just got to know all those dudes, and they started inviting me onto their podcast and invited me to do symposiums with them, and I became the sleep guy, which wasn't really my intention at all. I mean, I was a performance guy in my mind. Like I was trying to, I was trying to help people, perform better, and sleep was just the thing that audience needed. But, I was just as adamant about exercise and nutrition and stress mitigation. And when I met Rob Wolf, we really hit it off because he was, he's this nutrition guy coming in lecturing on nutrition. And he spends 30% of his lecture on sleep. And I was the sleep guy lecturing, and I spent about 30% of my lecture on nutrition. So, we hit it off, became fast friends, went on his podcast, and now I'm the sleep doc. It is what it is. I work with private clients, and I work with a lot of ex special forces guys and some active duty guys, and I still do everything performance related. But when people hire me to lecture or bring me on their podcast, it's usually for sleep. So, yeah.